Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Self Confidence Project. I'm your host, Kimberly, and today we're diving in to the real challenges that men are facing after divorce when it comes to dating, what might actually be holding you back, and how you can move forward with confidence and clarity. Because, guys, if you're retired or you are divorced, and that doesn't mean you don't have a freaking pulse, it doesn't mean that you're ready to give up on connection or companionship. But now you are thrust into this world of modern dating, and it feels like you are on a different planet. So if you're a man in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s who still feels healthy, you're sharp, you are full of life, but you are struggling to find your footing in the dating world, then this video is for you. Like I said, I'm going to break down some of the common and real challenges that men are facing when they are dating after divorce. Maybe which one of these challenges or obstacles might be holding you back. And of course, I'm going to talk about how you can move forward with confidence and clarity. Now, before I dive in, of course, my name is Kimberly Hale. I'm a men's dating and relationship coach. I've been doing this now for many years, and it's my joy and pleasure to support good-hearted men to find deeply loving relationships. Now, everybody's journey is different. Some men just want to get out there and just connect more effortlessly with great women. Some are looking for really deep companionship. Some men are really interested in marrying again. So no matter what your goal is when it comes to dating or connection or companionship, if you notice that you are struggling or things aren't really connecting for you, or you just want some healthy perspective and guidance, or maybe you want to learn a couple skills to just up your game when it comes to navigating the modern dating landscape, then I'm your gal, or it could be your gal. And I just invite you to book a complimentary call with me. We'll get to know each other, see if coaching is the right fit for you. And if it is, then let's do this. We can have some fun, and I'm here to help you connect with amazing women who are going to enrich your life, not take years away from you. Okay. Now, let's talk about the common struggles that men are facing in dating, especially in their kind of 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And the first one, guys, is insecurities around your age and insecurities around your attractiveness. Now, obviously, men are going to be wondering, as we get older, women too, right? But are women even attracted to me at this age? Or are women even attracted to my body and the way it's changed? And so just like women have insecurities about their bodies and their attractiveness, of course, men do as well. And this can be a real stumbling block if you are still kind of comparing yourself to younger men, or you might even be comparing yourself to the younger version of yourself. Yeah, well, when I was dating before I was married, I was all these things. And, in the height of my last relationship, I was all these things, and I was working out and doing this stuff. And so oftentimes there's this beautiful famous quote out there called, I don't know the author, but comparison is the thief of joy. So oftentimes, you guys, as you get out there and you date at this kind of new chapter in your lives, you're still comparing yourself to a different version of you or to younger men, which might be increasing that insecurity around your attractiveness or your age. And there's this internal struggle between really wanting to have a vibrant partner, but maybe fearing that you'll be rejected because of your age or because of where you are at in this juncture of your life. So what's important to remember here, guys, is that great connection isn't just about looks. Great connection has a heck of a lot to do with energy, your presence, and how grounded you are in the man that you are today. Not who you were 10, 20, 30 years ago, but the man that you are today. So this is just a very common challenge that men are facing. Now, another common challenge, guys, is just feeling attracted to younger women and dealing with the complexity of that, right? It is super natural to have a desire for youthful, vital, beautiful young woman. It is biological. It's totally normal. However, this can often be paired with unrealistic expectations or, in fact, mismatched emotional maturity, right? And even massive lifestyle differences. And I have a whole other video where I talk about this too. But this can lead to repeated disappointments, or it can even lead you men to just have surface level connections with women because maybe you are going for young women, but you're not quite sure how to move those connections past surface level. Or the question, isn't can I attract younger women, but the question is, can I create the type of relationship that I'm looking for with younger women that's fulfilling, that's aligned, that's emotionally reciprocal? So there's this natural desire to want to be with a young, beautiful, vital woman. But what's the realistic expectations in terms of the relationship you're seeking? And how are you going about, forming connections and attracting these types of women? It is a complex issue, right? But it is often one that men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s are facing as they get out there back into the modern dating world. Now, there's also a real common issue about men of having undefined or really idealized expectations of relationships. So it is natural to want to have companionship, to want to have a partnership. But what does that mean? What does that mean at this point in your life? Right? Because oftentimes others are unknowingly expecting a partner to fill the emotional gap that has been left by the divorce that you've had and is left by feeling a sense of loneliness. So you might be expecting a very traditional relationship that maybe is what you were creating in your past relationship, but isn't actually reflecting where you are in your life right now, or maybe reflecting modern values. So this is hugely important, right? Is getting full clarity on what you really want from a relationship and what you're actually able to give. This is key, because if you are dating again, right, in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever your age is, and you're expecting, or you have this vision of a relationship where you're going to meet a woman who doesn't have kids, right? Who wants to just move in with you, who is where you're at from a career standpoint, who's financially independent, who has time to travel with you, who can do all these things that you dream of doing in your retirement. Well, that might not be the true representation of where women are at that are single at this point in your life. They probably have children, or maybe they're still working in their careers. And so this vision that you might have for your relationship might not really reflect the truth of the women that are out there that are seeking relationships. So it's really important to get clarity on what you're looking for, and to understand that relationship dynamics might have shifted from the relationship you had prior. And you want to keep up with, the kind of realistic relationship dynamic that you might be able to obtain at this point in your life, right? So here's another issue, right? Which is having too much idle time, which will allow you to have too much mental energy that is focused on dating. Okay. So when anybody, whether you're in your career, or maybe you are retired, or maybe you just you're still working, but you're no longer in a relationship, maybe your kids are grown, therefore you have more unstructured time in your life. Okay. More than you had before. If you're retired, I mean, that's a huge identity shift. You have a lot more time on your hands, which can lead to idle hands, can lead to overthinking. It can lead to fantasizing. It can lead to obsessing about women and dating outcomes. And this can create this pressure on the interactions you are having with women. And it can lead to feelings of a lot of loneliness and discouragement. This is natural, right? When you may have got out of a relationship that you were in for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, even if that relationship suffered towards the end, which led to a divorce, and you probably experienced loneliness in the relationship, that might feel very different than the loneliness you feel being in an empty home with your kids grown and you don't have 40, 50 hours of work to occupy your mind. So it can really open up this time for you to obsess about dating and obsess about a partnership. And the truth is, men, that the more meaningful your life is outside of dating, right, the more attractive and grounded you are within dating, right? So what does a meaningful life look like to you? This is definitely something to consider. Now, another common issue that men are going to deal with navigating modern dating is this fear of, being seen as like creepy, this fear of being this weird old man or feeling really out of touch. And it's so common that the men that I work with tell me, look, I'm a little bit hesitant to approach women like in public that I've never met before, because I'm kind of afraid of coming off as creepy or being weird, or, being perceived as this like, just this person that I'm not. And sometimes we're thinking, well, I have this lack of dating experience and maybe I'm second guessing these normal interactions I'm having with women because maybe I have too much time to hyper focus on it. Now, guys, the key isn't avoiding women. It's honestly, it's learning how to express your interest in an attractive woman in a way that is respectful, that is confident, and that is age appropriate to a degree, right? So these are some of the meatier common challenges that men are facing as they get back out into the dating landscape. But there are some other common challenges that may be taking place for you too. And that might be a little bit of isolation or a shrinking social circle. And that might be because your friends are married, that they've moved away, or people are just unavailable because where they're at in their lives and their relationships doesn't give them the same amount of time or unstructured time that you might have. And naturally, it is harder to meet people naturally when you don't have a lot of effort or intentionality, or let's be honest, I mean, typically or stereotypically, women are the social coordinators of relationships, not in all cases. So sometimes when men are getting divorced, friends pick sides or naturally gravitate to one person more than the other, or those kind of casual, barbecues and things just aren't taking place. And so the social life has shrunk. Or maybe when you got divorced, you left your wife with the family home and now you're living somewhere else. And maybe where you decided to move as a couple was a smaller town. So now you're living in this smaller town and just environmentally you're more isolated, or you live in a more rural area that was fine when you had the kids running around and your wife there. But now as a single individual, you're going, this probably wouldn't be the place that I would choose to be to date again, or my options feel really limited. So isolation is a big factor. A shrinking social circle can be a really, really big factor that leads to the sense of isolation. And again, this hyper focus on finding somebody to fill the gap that you might be feeling socially. And then, of course, guys, there's just limited online dating success. I don't know how many times, I'd be a millionaire if I could count how many times I've heard men say that they are trying to date online, but they're being scammed. So a lot of men are having very limited dating success online for that reason. But also it's because online dating bios feel a little bit awkward to write sometimes, or we're not really sure how to talk about ourselves at this point in our lives, or the apps are just feeling really shallow. Conversations are stalling online, or you are putting effort into getting to know a woman online, or you're excited by it, and then you find out she's a scammer, or you find out she just never ever responds to you. And that's reflecting back on you. It feels like rejection. It's contributing to your feelings of isolation and frustration and loneliness. But the thing with online dating apps is, it is difficult to showcase depth and warmth through a screen, right? Texting is a great way to miscommunicate and misinterpret how somebody is feeling. So, moving dating and building a romantic connection to a tiny little screen is really challenging for a lot of people. Some people, it comes a little more naturally, but, also we have to think about, you were texting 30 years ago. That just wasn't a part of communication. So when you might have been dating previously, you were dating very differently than you are expected to date today. And online dating is naturally very difficult for a majority of men. In fact, the last time I looked at the stats, and I know the numbers are really close to what I'm going to say here. I might not be 100% accurate, but I'm very close. But it's like 10% of the men online get about 80% of the likes and activity. The ratio is quite skewed that way. So for a lot of men, they're just not having fun online. Okay. So the other common challenge, guys, that you might be facing is just generally unhealed pain from your divorce. Divorce is a big deal. It's a massive life stressor, and it comes with multiple other life stressors: finances, moving, job loss, structure around how you spend time with kids. And that's something that needs to be healed from. And, a lot of people have fear of repeating old patterns. So the most common thing I hear from men that get divorced is they jump into a relationship very quickly with a woman who just seems to represent the opposite of their former partner. And you go from one extreme to another. And I often hear stories that those relationships also didn't work out, or those women were very toxic, or they got into a toxic relationship because really they got into a relationship born out of low self-esteem. And then they come to dating coaching or to YouTube videos and they go like, what the heck is going on? Because look, the truth is we repeat what we don't heal. And things like trust wounds, or men that have either, had affairs on their partners, or women that had affairs on you, or just, really losing trust in women because for the last 10, 15 years of your relationship, she was cold, she was distant, she didn't care about physical affection with you, and you sucked it up to try and do the right thing for the relationship. but it ended anyways. And now, you really have some core wounds to process. And, you might have built some emotional armor that makes it really difficult to connect with somebody, or there's a little bit of this trust factor going on, or maybe a little bit of resentment towards women. So, these are, I've been talking a while because these are a lot of challenges that a lot of men are facing with modern dating. And I want to just name it to tame it, because you're not alone in a lot of these feelings. And that leads me to talk about the fact that you might just be feeling a lot of shame or embarrassment about kind of being out of the game. You feel out of practice. You feel like you're starting from scratch later in your life. And there's a lot of emotional complexity that comes with that. But I know that you men, right, especially the men that I work with, you're really wanting a great connection. And I know it's not just about sex. It's not just about that one dimension of intimacy. You're not looking for surface level companionship either. You are looking for a partner, right? A woman who brings joy and depth and inspiration into your life, and vice versa. There's mutual respect. There's emotional intimacy along with physical intimacy. There's shared values. And there's the second or sometimes even third chance at love with lessons learned. And so I want to share for a few minutes here, guys, how to move forward with confidence if you are in fact going, oh shit, everything that you've said, Cam, I feel like there's some truth in that in my experience. And this isn't to make you feel bad about it. It's to bring light to the fact that these are common challenges that men are facing, and you can move forward with confidence. And it honestly starts with redefining your value. Understanding where you bring wisdom and experience and steadiness into this world, into relationships. You need to own that. It's not about competing with younger men. It's about leading with your maturity, because a man who is grounded and has learned his lessons in life and can speak eloquently about the trials and tribulations he has gone through and how that he's overcome those things and the lessons he's learned. Women admire men that can share their experiences without, a trauma dumping, so to speak, right? So you know who you are and what you like and where you're at. And that's a very attractive quality. You can move forward by being clear about what you want and being realistic about what you want. It's not, I'm just looking for a nice woman, right? It's really defining and understanding with some serious clarity the emotional, practical, and romantic connection you actually desire and want to have. Because if you don't know what you want, how are you going to get it, right? If you're playing golf and you don't know where you want your ball to land, it's not going to land there if you're just swinging at random. So that's my great analogy, right? I also want you guys to take some pressure off dating. It's funny because a lot of men that I work with, they come to me because I'm a dating coach. And then sometimes in our first couple of conversations, I'm actually asking them about what they do outside of dating. And they're going, well, I just want to learn how to date so I can find that person. And I'm going, you know what? Sometimes you just need to take the pressure off dating. What makes your life meaningful outside your search for a partner? So whether that's joining groups, exploring new passions, building and connecting with new people, or deepening existing friendships, or reaching out to lost connections, let dating be a part of your life, not your only source of connection. That goes for anybody dating at any point in time. Now, you also might need to brush up on some of those connecting skills. And that's about connecting, man. It's not about performing. So maybe that's just learning to smile and not feel like smiling at people is weird, right? Maybe it's just learning to smile, or have just some, interesting conversation that goes for a couple minutes, or just feeling proud to compliment somebody. And that genuine presence that you can bring, that focusing on the mindful connecting versus performing, it's not performative behavior. It's not what can I do to win this affection, or what can I do to get this number? It's just how can I connect with this human being? Because connection is the lifeblood of our longevity, right? There's an 80-year-old Harvard study now that says the number one indicator of living a long, satisfying life is the quality of your social connections. And that outweighs habits like excessive drinking and smoking and exercise. That is a bigger predictor of a healthy, long life than reducing those other elements. And guys, being willing to grow. So doesn't matter what your age is. If you are fixed in your thinking, you're fixed in your ideas of things, you will be fixed in your results, right? Dating today is different, but connection, of course, is still human. And it's about learning to show up in this chapter of your life as your most grounded, self-aware self, right? Not trying to act like you were 20 years ago. There's a disconnection that takes place here. So I hope this has been helpful. I really wanted to just highlight these are the common challenges that most all of my clients are dealing with. I tend to work with a lot of men that are dating again after a divorce, a separation, or even men that are dating again because they are widowed, which is a really difficult situation to deal with. All of these situations are difficult. So if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you're dating after a divorce, you're dating after a relationship that has ended for various different reasons, and you are in fact craving connection, then you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. And guys, you don't have to settle, right? You don't have to be somebody you're not or act young. You have to figure out how to be you, the best, clearest, most connected version of yourself at this stage in your life, and to understand what that looks like and how that feels for you. And that's more than enough. And that's what's going to get you the success with connection with women in a way that you may not have imagined, in a relationship dynamic that might be different than what you originally expected. Because that's what I want from my clients. I think that everybody out there, we deserve more healthy relationships. It would be great if we could lower that divorce rate, and we could have people thriving in their relationships long term. But meaningful relationships do take work, and they take a lot of self-reflection. So I do hope that today's video was insightful, that it was helpful, that it made you, even if all you did was feel less alone by watching this video, then I'm really happy you tuned in. And thank you for tuning in. I'm excited to make these videos for you guys every week. It's my pleasure. It's my honor to talk about things that, sometimes other coaches don't want to talk about or talk about in this way. I'm really passionate about what I do. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your comments. And you know what? Maybe if you followed me to the very end of this video, and who knows how much of a video each person is willing to watch, but if you've stuck with me to the end, then I would love for you to drop some advice to other men watching this video. So what is something that has helped you? What is a mindset that's helped you? What is a dating skill that has helped you? What is a life skill that has helped you feel confident being the person you are today? Let's share some of those thoughts and comments for other people so that they come to this video and it's a real source of inspiration, not just another video making men feel like they need to radically change themselves to please women, but to really help you understand that, a lot of people are on a journey to find a great relationship. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share them below. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you like the video, subscribe, helps me out. And it's lovely to see the channel grow. And I look forward to bringing you guys another episode next week. Peace.